Hey guys, it's layout update time on Art's Model Trains. So I was looking back and it was February of 2025 that the last time I did an update on my layout. And there's been some progress, probably not as much as I wanted to get done between, just life and kids and everything else going on. Like there's just hasn't been a lot of time to work on the layout. I get down here for an hour or two to work on it, and a lot of times I come down to work on it and just end up running trains. But anyway, let's dive into what's changed, and I'll show you guys all the things I've been working on over the last, I guess that's about 8 or 9 months. So first we're actually going to start in the old section of the layout, and you're going to recognize this coal tower. This was in my yard, and if you remember some of my earlier videos, I had taken this out of the yard to put in a coal shed I got at York this spring. So I actually made this little fake siding over here that I think works, and I just kind of dropped the coal shed in there. I just wanted to get it on the layout somewhere because I really like this building, and I think this little fake siding is really cool, and it also gives me a place to store 2 extra coal cars. And as you can see, I've done some work on the mountain. I put down shaper sheet, and I'll try to throw some pictures of how I did that. And I've used shaper sheet plaster over that, and then I painted it, and then I've been putting scenic material and trees and bushes and everything in as I go. I'm really liking how this little scene up here is coming together. I ran out of trees, so I have not had a chance to buy more trees, but I'm definitely going to continue to fill this in with new trees and bushes as I get a chance to buy them. I'm hoping to pick up a bunch at York, but I really like the way this is coming together so far. And it really makes for some great scenes as the train comes out of the tunnel. One of the other things I mentioned in my previous layout update was the problem I was having, if I can point correctly, with the track in that tunnel there, where there was a little bit of a gap that was causing the engines to kind of wobble as they come out. So I actually replaced this piece of flex track, hammered the rails back into the tunnel to close that gap, and made this track nice and long. And as you could see if we could find that seam. This is where the 2 pieces of track come together, and you can see how nice and tight that is now, and it's that way inside the tunnel as well. And as you can see, I have continued my ballast out of the tunnel in the front here, and we'll go to the back of the layout and you can see how I've done that as well. I've also started playing around with some roads, and this is thin pieces of foam that I picked up at Hobby Lobby that I thought would make good roads. I'm testing it out right now. So far, so good. I just don't really know how much I like the way it has to ramp up to the grade crossing here. So I'm going to play around with that a little more, just because it's not so bad on this side of the track, but on this side of the track, I feel like it's going to be a steep slope coming down to just this short piece of road here. So I'm going to cut some foam and see how it looks. All the buildings are in the same layout, but as you can see here, I have started to convert this building to a Stuckey's. I just did the sign for now. I'm debating on whether or not to even try to paint it. I do want to maybe do a little bit of the trim in red, but I'm really liking the way it's weathered looking, because most Stuckey's are older and are weathered. So I might just leave it as is with the sign for now. And then in the front here are those hinges for my lift bridge. And what I actually did was used shaper sheet over the hinges along with scenic material. Again, not completely finished yet, to hide the hinges, and they are fully operational. And as they come up, you can see the trees clear, and I'm able to go right in. And it's a nice touch that kind of hides those hinges and actually makes a great scene to take pictures of or videos of trains coming through the little gap here. Starting in the back of the layout, you can see I've continued the ballast out of the tunnel along with the scenery along the backdrop there, trying to blend the two. I've decided to start at the back of the layout so I don't have to reach over scenery to get to the back of the layout. So this is where I've been working mostly along the back edge right now, and we're going to move down and take a look at the yard. So in the yard, you can see I've put some ballast down, but I haven't finished it all yet. And that's because I ran out of ballast. So I do need to get some more at York in October. So hopefully that'll be enough to finish off this side of the layout. I've been messing around with 3D printing a platform for my sanding tower and some other stuff there. So that's a placeholder for now, and I'll keep working on that. And I tried to blend in more coal underneath the coaling tower here and over here in the ballast. Let's see if we can get it to focus so that you can see it's more gray. Let me get my hand out of the way. It's more gray in the back there, and then as it goes under the coaling tower, it starts to look like more coal. I'm playing around with it, and you know, again, just trying things out, and I will add more as I go. My plan is to then, obviously, scenic between the tracks, add a lot of dirt and other coal and bushes and things like that in between the tracks. I just have to, like I said, pick up more ballast for that. But I'm really happy with the way this came out. Scenicking under these buildings here, and you can see my shadow kind of moving there, was actually a little bit of a trick. What I did was I pulled the buildings off. I traced the buildings on the table with a pencil. Then I pulled the buildings off, put the ballast down, glued it inside those tracing lines so that I could put the building right back into its place, and it'll be resting on the table and it won't wobble, and it's nice and level. And I thought that came out really good. And then I just added a little bit of ballast around some of the legs and everything just to fill in the gaps and make sure that it didn't look empty. And again, along the backdrop, I continued to try to blend that in by adding different types of scenery in there. And as I buy more material, I'll continue to work on that. So a couple things I want to just call out, just using this scene as an example. I've been slowly buying different scenic material, and I have to get more because what I've discovered is you have to get variety over time. And obviously this is hard to buy. First of all, not every store has it, and it's expensive. But what I have found is at Hobby Lobby, they had these little trees and these little sticks and things like that from JTT's. I think it's JTT Scenics. And I thought they were really cool. And I just have like a little hand drill, finger-driven drill that I use to kind of put those in the table, and they add a nice little touch there. Again, as I continue to go into stores or York, I'll pick up different types of material and be able to spread that around so I can add some more variety and layer on top of what I have here. While we're back here, you can see I've also tried to start to work on the sidewalks that I mentioned in the last layout update, continuing the sidewalk down through the side of the building back to the station. And this is just masonite that I had left over that I pieced together. I'm unsure if I'm going to keep it because what I'm worried about is it's relatively close to the same height as the road there that I'm using. So I'm either going to get another piece of masonite to lay on top of that, or maybe a different material to use for the sidewalk. So what do you think, guys? How am I doing? Give me some feedback. Let me know what I've screwed up, what I've missed, or what I could do differently. You know, I'm kind of winging it as I go along here, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. But I'd love to hear from you guys if you have some ideas. Thanks for watching, guys. Please be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you again next time.